So in this video, we're going to talk about sexual shame, specifically dealing with sexual shame. We had a recent viewer question on how to deal with sexual shame, and I think it's an important question because I see a lot of students that will come in, or clients or people that will come in, and they say they've worked out their approach issues, they meet women, they go on dates, but nothing ever goes anywhere. And when I watch them interact with women, they're very scared of sex or pushing sexual boundaries, and it's very evident. Matter of fact, a lot of times women will give them a lot of opportunities, even for sometimes a simple kiss or grabbing their hand, and they just can't seem to do it. There's so much fear or shame built up around taking these actions that that they hold back, that they resist, and they resist a little too long, and then a little bit longer, and then a little bit longer, and the girl loses interest. They lose interest specifically because a real man takes the lead, steps into his power, takes action. He leads the interaction if he's in his masculine and she's in her feminine. So let's talk about how to build up your sense of, if it's not called sexual shame, let's call it sexual confidence. And sexual self-esteem might even be a better term for it. And to get it really solid, not just so you can grab a girl's hand and kiss her when you like her, but you can lead her to the bedroom, you can have deep romantic moments. Something that women really want with men, and not enough men today have the courage to move in that direction and make it happen. So what does that take? Well, number one is you gotta get in touch, you gotta get clear, you gotta get aware of what the problem is for you. What is going on with you around sex? If you were to write down in a journal, and simply take a journal and just start writing down what's going on for you. What do you feel about sex? What are your emotions? What do you feel when it comes to having sex? What does it feel when it comes to a woman seeing you naked? You seeing yourself naked, how do you feel? How do you feel seeing a woman naked? Does shame, does embarrassment, does any of this come up? So take your mind on an imaginary journey of seducing and having sex with a woman, and notice what comes up for you, and start journaling down the emotions. Start getting really clear that I feel shame here. I feel, when I see this, I feel embarrassment here. And start noticing how that plays out. For some of you, it'll be fear. Some of you, it'll be fear around getting a venereal disease. Or some of you, it'll be fear around different aspects of sex. You'll get performance issues, losing an erection, not being able to come because she's gonna get mad at you because you're too numb down there, not being able to enjoy the process, being way up in your head. All these different things come up around sex, and every guy's got a different story. And so as you get in touch with what's inside you, what's inside your subconscious mind around sex and the shame, you'll start to grow a lot faster. You'll have a starting point from which to grow from. Some other stuff that comes up for men in this area is religious shame. What would God think? What would and this sounds weird, but what would my mom think if she knew I was having sex with a woman and I'm not married? Different things like this. So start to take a look and get really brutally honest with yourself. And then once you start to get in touch with this stuff, and you start to get in touch specifically, not just with the thoughts and the images that bother you, but the emotions attached to them. For example, if you've got a fear of getting a girl pregnant, then write down that there's fear there. And start to look at that fear and start to feel the emotion and start to see the story and start to become aware of what your alternatives are to deal with that fear. You know, protection is a good one, making sure you always have it with you. And then start to face the fear itself. The next thing you got to do is once you start to get in touch with these stories, you start to get clear as to what they are, and you're going to have to do this several times. You're not going to just do it once and have them down, because the subconscious buries stuff deep. And every time you start to work through something, there's going to be another layer, another layer, another layer, until you start to actually feel good about sex. You start to feel it's beautiful. You start to get turned on for it. You start to see women's bodies as beautiful. You start to see your own body is beautiful, and when that starts to happen, you're going to start to draw sex to you more and more. So let's take another look at this. As you start to write all this stuff down, you start to get in touch with where your shame's at, what your issues are about, then you need to start sharing them. You need to find a safe group with which to be able to share your experiences, a group that won't judge you, a group that won't make fun of you. For those of you that want to come to a Fearless experience and learn more about how we do it, I encourage you to come to one of our live events and meet us, or come check out one of our experience weekends, because we do work with a lot of men that have sexual shame. It comes up quite a bit. And another way is to get a therapist and talk about your sexual shame, a qualified therapist that has a good track record of success. And kind of find a therapist that works for you if you're going to go in that direction. There are specific sexual therapists out there that work specifically with sexuality. And ones I like the best typically are body-based somatic therapists in this area, working on your stories you can share with. You can share with friends if they're really good at being present for you. If you've got a small group of friends that are really good at being present with you, it's another great way to do it. At Fearless, we put every one of our clients into a secret Facebook page that allows them to connect with people that are graduates, that are like-minded, that are very supportive, and helping them work through this stuff. And they can be sharing stuff back and forth, talking. They can have meetings and groups to get together to meet, and alongside of the programs themselves, because that's how much we believe that you need to work with and expose what's going on for you with other people. Another thing you can do is get with specifically women and start sharing this stuff. And you might be surprised at how much women love talking about sex, how much they get excited on average. But you need to make sure that it's a safe woman, a woman that's not going to judge you, not make fun of you, not have a religious agenda, not have an agenda to save you, convert you, or fix you in any way. A woman that can just listen and can be there for you. And that's why I kind of recommend somatic therapists initially, because a lot of guys are bad at picking the right woman for that. And so I want to encourage you to be very careful in who you pick for your safe group. So as you start to share, make sure you share the emotions. Don't be afraid to go into, the fear itself. As you talk about being afraid to even, let's say, lean in and kiss a girl because you're turned on sexually and you're scared to let her see your turn on, you're scared to let her feel your turn on, you're scared to tell her your turn on, you're scared to move in and kiss her, you can start talking about that fear and feeling the fear while you talk about it. And say, it's very scary, and I have this thought that she's going to reject me, and there's a huge fear in my body. And just really sit there with that person, look them in the eyes, and be willing to feel that fear and process through it and work your way through it and get real about it. Now, you will get some growth if you just journal this and you don't work with another person. And the reason I say that is because I am half reluctant to tell you to work with somebody else on this, but it's very powerful to do it. Because a lot of people will start to work with somebody else and the other person won't be a safe person, or will be somebody that tries to fix you too much, and they're not good at just listening and being there for you. And so I would encourage you to find either a professional, say the somatic therapist, or get into one of our groups or a group like this to talk about it. Another group might be the No More Mr. Nice Guy group from Robert Glover. There are many groups out there, and you can look them up online where you can go out and talk about this stuff. And just look up safe groups for men's groups, things like that. So with that said, let's go over this again. You need to learn to get in touch with what's going on. Not just the thoughts and the images, but the emotions attached to them. You need to find a place to express those. You can start by expressing them in the mirror. I didn't say that earlier, but that's another great way to do it. You need to then meet with somebody, a professional or somebody that can help you work through these, and that can allow you to get it out, and it'll be the witness for the emotional experience you're having, a non-judgmental witness that will allow you to start processing it. Because when you share a secret, when you share buried, repressed memories or emotions, it's there in front of somebody else, and you allow them to witness it, it has a way of helping you to let go. It has a way of helping you to process it. And being able to share these desires, wants, and needs is very powerful in healing your sexual shame. Get in touch with it, and then express it yourself, and then share it. And you need to share it with a safe person or a safe group. If you can get with a safe group, that's awesome. And be very selective if you pick a personal friend to talk about this stuff with, that the friend is non-judgmental and can just be a good listener for you, because that's where people make the biggest mistake in this process. Okay? So with that said, I wanna encourage you to start facing this right away, because being one of those guys that goes on a lot of dates and ends up in the friend zone all the time because afraid to make a move really sucks. Especially when the women like you and you still won't take the action because you're just afraid of being rejected. You're afraid that they'll judge you. And again, with that said, Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Check out the website, thefearlessman.com, and check out our events. I'd love to see you at an event, meet with you live, and we can still talk about this a little bit more. And then make sure to comment below. I'd love to hear your comments on this. I'd also love to hear what you want to hear more about. This channel's for you, and so we want to make sure we get you the videos you want to see. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, only the confident really live. Well, let me say this. If I was talking to you and you were at one of my gatherings or you were working with me, I could give you specific answers based on your situation, because everybody's situation is different. But let's assume you've been broken up for a while and you realize you want her back. Men become third stage men. So let's talk about those stages so you understand what they are, and then I can go into some books you can read. Number one, first stage is then basically the my way or the highway type guy.